Hi everyone, I'm Devshi and I'm here with Ria.
Hi guys.
Today we're going to talk about sustainable shipping. Sustainability is something that we both have been interested in for a long time, and we wanted to bring the passion we have towards learning about it into our first episode.
Right before we started recording, I got a package from Amazon. These days, almost everyone is ordering online and getting their stuff delivered to their home. So the shipping industry has become really important, during the pandemic.
Just in the year 2020, Amazon spent 61.1 billion US dollars in shipping costs, up from 37.9 billion US dollars in 2019. That's a big jump.
Yeah, it is a big jump. The shipping industry had to continuously evolve to support the needs of consumers, communities, and economies at all levels. People shop online and expect faster delivery responses for their parcels. So the shipping industry will continue to adapt in its methods of handling items. But this brings us to the question, how many of these methods are actually sustainable?
And that's exactly what we're going to explore today. So, welcome to our first podcast episode, all about sustainable shipping with Devshi and Ria.
Woohoo!
So, before learning about sustainable shipping, let us define shipping and sustainability individually for our listeners, shall we?
Yeah, guys, so shipping is basically the physical process of transporting commodities and merchandise, goods, and cargo. Originally, it only referred to transport by sea, but now the term also includes air and road transport.
Sustainability simply means meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs.
So, in a nutshell, sustainable shipping is any sustainable practice which is used in the shipping industry.
And now, both of us have read up on sustainable shipping in the past week. So, Ria, you want to share what sustainable practices are used in sustainable shipping?
Yeah, so some of the practices that I found out were as simple as reducing the use of fossil fuels and energy sources that emit carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, reducing packet sizes to reduce the weight and carbon emissions which are associated with freight handling, like through airships, or developing technologies to prevent greenhouse gases from being emitted entirely into the environment. All means of transport for shipping contribute to environment pollution in some way or the other, but the degree varies. Now, each mode has its own pros and cons, so firms prefer different modes for different needs. So, Devshi, which mode is the usually preferred mode of transport and which one is relatively environment friendly?
Preferences of businesses depend on the kind of cargo and the urgency with which they need to transport. By ocean, of course, it can carry large volumes of cargo, works best for heavy goods as well, and it is pretty cost effective. But then it is a very slower route and comes with its own risks. By air is the fastest method, but it is expensive and has a considerable carbon footprint.
Yeah, I actually read that on average, aeroplanes pollute 20 to 30 times more than ships. So, like if we had to rank all three modes of transport in terms of their carbon footprint, air freight, land freight, and then sea freight, with air freight leaving behind the largest carbon footprint. But this is just like in terms of carbon emissions.
Yeah, I wanted to mention that actually the jet fuel is the highest grade of fuel and burns much cleaner with few byproducts, carbon dioxide notwithstanding, obviously. While ships actually use a low grade fuel called bunker fuel, which has high sulfur content. So when you compare solely in terms of carbon emission, by sea is a greener option, but in terms of total emission, they're roughly equal.
And in this day and age of globalization, the shipping industry has such a major role to play. Global trade and cargo transport have been around for ages, and it has only increased in the last 3 decades. I read that the contribution of exports and imports to GDP is nearly 30%. So, obviously, the shipping industry is not going anywhere. But of course, it can't be allowed to function in the way that is depleting our natural resources.
Demands of consumers are also changing with the advancements in technology. There have been so many innovations in delivery methods. I'm sure you've heard of same day delivery, next day delivery, doorstep delivery. No one likes to wait for their packages. I sure don't. I check out my card and I'm like, this is ridiculous that I don't magically have my package in my hands right now. Being a muggle stuff, man.
So I totally agree with that point. I mean, but that's what it is. The world's getting faster and everybody wants speedy deliveries. But this will come at a cost. Like we'd mentioned earlier, airplanes are the fastest mode of transport, but they leave behind a very large carbon footprint.
Yeah, so there needs to be more innovations in this field. By investing in research and development, we can come up with technology to make shipping sustainable and more cost efficient. This type of investment can be made by both the government and the companies.
Yes, but the unfortunate thing is that in today's capitalist world, the main aim of all companies is to minimize cost and maximize profit. Many companies view sustainability as a marketing hack and not as an actual investment in their product or service. Why did unsustainable practices become the norm anyway? simply because they were cheaper.
I do agree. Profit motive is the driving force behind many big companies' endeavors. Why would they want to increase their costs by shifting to greener methods? This is one of the reasons why companies do not go for sustainable shipping. It is not cost effective.
But Devashri, sustainable shipping doesn't always have to be, expensive. We can actually take HP's example. HP was able to significantly reduce their shipping costs by switching to sustainable alternatives. Every year, HP produces around 40 million notebooks in China and then ships them to the United States and Europe. So they partnered with this renewable packaging company, which helped
Mm-hmm.
them minimize the impact of their business on the environment while also being strong enough to protect its products from the long journeys from factory to the end users, especially in humid conditions. An added benefit HP enjoyed by going sustainable was that their boxes were now weighing less, which helped reduce shipping costs and reduce the transport emissions altogether. So it's not
Hmm.
all that bad.
Yeah, so I have no doubt that products need to be packaged in a way that it can be moved long distances without being damaged. But so many products are packed in hard plastic containers and placed inside a box filled with paper, styrofoam, and bubble wrap. So, I mean, this only goes to show that by optimizing packaging using sustainable packaging alternatives, companies can not only lessen environmental impact but at the same time increase their savings by generating less waste. Like, if companies do not come aboard the sustainability ship, they will simply be pushed out of the markets. I read in a recent survey that 78% of the respondents said that companies could be doing more to mitigate packaging waste.
Amazon has its frustration free packaging program under which they work with various brands on strategies to eliminate supply chain waste and
Mhm.
redesign their packaging to be more sustainable while still ensuring that they arrive to the customer undamaged.
Hmm.
We're all familiar with the Tide detergent, right?
Yeah, it's a common household brand.
Yeah, so Amazon helped Tide develop an eco box under this program, and this eco box uses 60% less plastic than their traditional packaging.
Mhm.
Amazon also developed a ship in own container program which encourages brands to reduce packaging waste by redesigning retail packages to be shipping friendly.
Yeah, and I also heard about Shipment Zero initiative in 2019 that aimed to make 50% of all their shipments with net zero carbon by the year 2030. They aim to achieve this by upgrading more of its infrastructure to 100% renewable energy, including using electric vehicles, bio-based fuels in aviation, as well as integrating more reusable packaging.
There are many packaging companies that offer 100% compostable mailers these days. They've not completely replaced plastic mailers yet, but suppliers should steadily shift to such alternatives when they're clearly available.
There is another fantastic way to ship sustainably, and that is to ship in bulk. For example, I heard about Zero Waste Cartel, a brand that offers environmentally friendly bath, body, and kitchen products. So they
Ooh.
only sell its bamboo toothbrushes in packs of 10 to encourage customers to plan their purchases or share orders so that products can be shipped in a more sustainable manner. It seems like an inflexible policy at first, but it has actually resonated with Zero Waste Cartel's customers who see value in bulk purchases for their
Mm.
for the planet and their own wallets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so apart from being sensitive to sustainability concerns, companies should also recognize that there are many benefits also of going sustainable. Sustainable
Hmm.
shipping, of course, has many direct benefits like, reducing carbon emissions
Hmm.
and reducing resource consumption. But apart from these direct impacts on the environment, there are many indirect benefits for the companies as well as the workers. Safer workspaces being created, ensuring that all workers get fair wages, customers are provided with quality products.
Sustainable shipping through corporate social responsibility can act as promotion and improve the company's image. And obviously, I don't mean it in the same way you mentioned as a marketing hack. All these efforts will have to be genuine because it only takes one whistleblower to expose malpractices to drive consumers away.
Yeah, but adopting sustainable shipping practices is not easy, especially in developing countries. Now, we can take India only, for example. The lack of infrastructure makes it so difficult for firms to adopt such practices. In India, most of the firms are small, both in terms of size and funds. Hence, it's impossible for them to adopt sustainable practices. So, I think this is where the role of the government comes in. They should help the firms with the required infrastructure and funds.
Yeah, but what I feel is coordination is another challenge between all these sectors. There needs to be a nationwide integrated strategy. And while such
Hmm.
policies and strategies are made, all stakeholders should be consulted. Yeah, when this is not done, the interests of some parties may be harmed, preventing them from adopting these green methods. I just think that everyone's interests need to be taken into consideration. But the problem is not with the policy formulation, but with the policy implementation. There needs to be strict monitoring. There will not be any impact if everyone doesn't follow through.
One of the simplest and the biggest steps the government can actually take is spread awareness to both the consumers as well as the shipping companies about sustainability. We need
Hmm.
people to be more aware of the negative impact shipping has on the
Hmm.
environment. Because only when people are aware will they do the right thing, opt for
Yeah.
sustainably shipped goods and services. And the benefits of these, and until and unless they don't know about the benefits, they won't be able to reap them.
Exactly. And another thing that policymakers should keep in mind while making plans to adopt more sustainable practices is that these should not just provide temporary relief. We should set long term goals.
Yes, yes.
India is heavily dependent on road transport. Cities like New Delhi and Bangalore have made efforts to increase the electric fleet in the freight distribution by developing electric vehicle policies. Delhi government has actually ordered all of its state-run organizations, departments, and autonomous bodies to replace their existing fuel-run fleet with EVs. The Union Minister for Road Transport and Highways, Mr. Nitin Gadkari, also flagged off a Go Electric campaign to boost e-mobility adoption in India. You must have heard.
Yes, yes.
So there is hope yet.
Yeah, and this is what I was talking about. Government support is very crucial in developing countries. And all this talk about EVs reminds me that the homegrown e-commerce giant Flipkart has actually looking to, deploy 25,000 electric vehicles to its delivery fleet by 2030, I think. Now,
Mhm.
so it's creating, charging infrastructure at its delivery hubs and offices across the country. And it has already
Mhm.
started off the project deploying around 450 two and three wheelers in several cities in
Mhm.
partnership with Hero Electric and Mahindra Electric to make
Yeah, I heard about
customized
that.
vehicles. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, really looking forward to see the transition to EVs in shipping systems. How do you think consumers are going to take this news, this shift to sustainable shipping practices? I mean,
Yeah, consumers' demand is also changing with time. According to this market research company Global Web Index, 42% of US and UK consumers seek out products that are recyclable or that use sustainable materials when making day-to-day purchases.
yeah, the survey I mentioned earlier also about how the respondents thought companies could do more to mitigate packaging waste. But 83% of the respondents also said that they considered the environment at the checkout screen, including the excessive waste it might be generating and the increase in their carbon footprint. So nothing is going to fly with the aware consumers these days.
Yeah, and consumers are becoming more and more eco-conscious by the day. So, this coupled with their awareness of their role in the supply chain means that they're more than willing to switch to support their values. People are actually willing to spend more money on sustainable products.
Well, I'm sure that's good news for companies
Mm.
that were on the fence about going green. I'm really
Mm.
confident that what we talked about today in terms of the various things companies, governments, and consumers can do to shift to sustainable shipping is reassuring for the future. There are certainly changes that are happening around right now as well. I hope we see that impact in time and aim for sustainability in almost every activity that we do.
Yeah, it's never too late to go sustainable. So, guys, that was all about sustainable shipping from my side. And we would love to hear your thoughts about our episode and what you know about sustainable shipping.
Yeah, the way you can do it is through our Reddit community server, the link to which is in the description. So head on to our Reddit page and let us continue learning new things. After all, that is what we aim to do through this podcast, engage in discussions on various topics with you guys and learn all about everything. So catch you on the next episode of All About. Till then, bye bye.
Bye. Compared to the 1000 other episodes we recorded, I think this one was nice.
Yeah.
God.
Thousand revisits to the script.
Oh, and I don't know how many times you have heard, while editing. I so can't only.
Yeah,
Listen
oh
to
my
my own
god.
voice so many times with headphones on. No, thank
Yeah.
you. And thank God you're doing that now.
My pleasure.
Yeah, my mom got it chai. My mom gave me chai during while recording, and put it, and it's now all cold because I didn't want to risk anything. I was like, this is going so well. I don't want it to go cold.
It's okay, Ria. You can have your chai now. Bye.
Yeah. Okay. Bye bye.
Bye bye.